G'day guys, how are you all today? My name's Aura and today we're going to go look at one of the new Shadowlands dungeons, Plaguefall. Now, we are at the end of the second week of the expansion and I've run all the dungeons twice on Mythic and a few times on Normal and Heroic each, so I thought I'd make a guide for them specifically focusing on the healing aspects of the dungeons. However, it is still beneficial for all other specs to watch this and learn, and especially to keep your healers happy. Now, Plaguefall has 4 bosses with a pretty linear setup. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, before the first boss, as you come into a somewhat circular arena, there are a lot of small slime adds that you'll need to deal with first. Now, the catch with these is that when a slime dies, they will leave a pool on the ground that spreads out for about 2 seconds until it reaches its full size. Now, my group dealt with this by pulling all of the adds at once and AoEing them down, trying to keep it as equal as possible to reduce the amount of space that the pools take up in the arena itself. Just make sure that while you're doing this, you're watching the tank's health. Now, they don't hit too hard, but they may in Mythic Plus if they aren't being killed very fast. Another thing to watch for here is the pools that are left behind. As there is a large number of adds dying in the one spot, the damage can be actually a bit spicy, so watch the DPS and where they're positioned once they drop, especially if you've got melee DPS, and just be ready to spot heal them if needed. So the first boss, Globrog, is a pretty simple boss if done correctly. The first thing you'll need to watch out for is the slime wave. So this shoots out in a cone of slime in front of him. If anyone is hit by this, they take a large chunk of damage, but they're also rooted for 6 seconds, and they also suffer a dot as well on top of that. So save your movement abilities for dodging this. If a large proportion of the group gets hit, it can easily set you behind before the fight's really even started. Globrog's next ability to watch for is Plague Stomp. So no matter where you are in the arena, once this is cast, you will take about 7,000 physical damage and get knocked back. But what this also does, it inflicts all group members with debilitating plague. This is a dot that does about 1,000 damage every 2 seconds, but it also slows player movement by 30%. So as you can see, this ties in with the slime wave ability. The group can start taking enormous amounts of damage if they're unable to move out of that slime wave. However, you can dispel these debuffs, and you should be doing so on cooldown. And last but not least for Globrog is his Beckon Slime ability, where he will summon 3 slimes to start moving towards him. Now if these slimes do reach him, his other ability, Consume Slime, in which he consumes the slimes and heals for 300% of the slime's current health. Now it is important that the group really tries to switch to these as much as possible, otherwise the fight will drag on for much longer than needed. And with the stacking debuffs and high incoming damage, it is imperative that they get focused down ASAP. So straight from Globrog, you move to Dr. Icker. Now, as you can see, we're running the gauntlet that Blizzard has intended for the dungeon to be like. However, since recording this, I've seen a group running up along the far right hand side of this room, which basically enables you to skip all of these adds and tentacles and get straight to the boss sitting on the stairs. Now, coming into the Dr. Icker fight, it is probably best that you clear out all of the adds on the platforms before you jump into the fight, as he jumps from all the platforms throughout the fight and already summons adds himself, so it's just really saving yourself any heartache and potential wipes. Now, once he lands on a platform, he will plant a plague bomb. And this is in a slime, and you will see it casting a spell called Virulent Explosion. Now this ad must be killed before the timer goes off, or it will be an instant wipe for the group. Another ability that Icker casts is Slime Injection. Now this is cast on the tank, and it lasts for 1 minute. While the tank is infected with it, it does 1.7k damage each second. However, once it is dispelled, it releases an erupting ooze that if it erupts, it causes 4.3k damage to all players. Now it's important not to let this debuff stack, as there will be multiple oozes released per stack when dispelled, and it can do significant damage to the entire group and possibly causing a wipe. The third boss of the instance is Demeanor Venomblade. This fight is really quite straightforward. The overlying mechanic is that constantly throughout the fight there is the solitary prey buff. Essentially, players just have to be stacked on each other within 6 yards, otherwise they run the risk of being encased in a web wrap that stuns them until the party breaks them out of it. Along with this, be mindful that her ability, Cytotoxic Slash, which she casts on the tank, does a minor amount of damage, but it also does put a debuff on the tank that increases the amount of nature damage taken by 100% for 8 seconds. So make sure you keep an eye on the tank's health, because in conjunction with this, she also uses her ability Venomblades, which causes her attacks to now do additional nature damage. As the fight goes on, the tank will move her around the arena to unearth the brood assassins that are stealthed within the area. These mobs should be dealt with quickly, as they apply a stacking dot to party members with their assassinate ability, which they continue to cast from the stealth positions. As there can be multiple spawning at once, it is key to remove them from the fight before it becomes too hectic. The faster the boss is killed and the adds are dealt with, the less intense the healing will become, and the dots can become overwhelming if left unattended to. The final boss of the instance is Margrave Stradama. Stradama will summon malignant spawns throughout the fight. As you can see, it is very important that at least one person soaks the Touch of Slime ability. Otherwise it will almost wipe the group, and I'm sure on Mythic Plus fights it certainly will. The following ability is her Plague Crash. The ability is where the tentacles rise up from the water circle in the center of the room, and as they're about to slam down, they will glow yellow, showing you which one will be slamming first. These chunk you if you are hit, and you have to make sure that you do your best to avoid getting hit at all times. Now additionally, even if you think you're safe, it's much better to just move further over, as I've found on certain angles and certain times that the hitbox just is a little bit bigger than you think it might be. Now throughout this encounter, she will also cast Infectious Rain. This applies a dot to all members of the group after the initial small amount of damage. And although this is not a life-threatening ability per se, it certainly does add to the stress level once you start feeling behind or a few members or yourself are hit by the mechanics such as the tentacles or, they're having to soak the Touch of Slime. Overall, I think Plaguefall is a really interesting dungeon, especially for healers, as there is a lot to keep track of, and the damage in the instance compared to say the BFA dungeons is constant with many dots and many other mechanics to worry about. I'm really looking forward to testing this in Mythic Plus in the future. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope I've helped you with the information here, as starting new dungeons and a new expansion can be tricky, and with Mythic Plus just on the horizon, there's a lot of people ready to jump in and start building up their IO scores. Don't forget to come watch me on Twitch, follow me there for more content and Healer Mythic Plus related stuff. My Twitch is twitch.tv/auraparty, and don't forget to like the video if you liked it, or subscribe for more healing content, more dungeons, and more PvE content. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.